What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, let's do a little thing we like to call the Middlekauff Mailbag. At John Middlekauff is the Instagram. Fire in those DMs. Questions answered here on this little old podcast. We will start with if Ohio State goes back-to-back or three-peats, could Ryan Daye be a candidate for an NFL team? He would clearly be one of the best coaches in college, has a good offensive mind, and is a good leader. I also feel like Hartline is bound to be a head coach and could be a good fit. Love the pod. I think Ryan Daye, if the Tomlin divorce ever were to happen, the Steelers would have to be insane not to talk to Ryan Daye at this point in time. He's worked in the NFL as well. Was with Chip with the Eagles, was with Chip with the 49ers. I mean, Ohio State at this point is a NFL program. And as a lifelong hater of Ohio State, I actually appreciate it. I mean, they're so good and they're so well run, and it's a high level operation. So you can't. It's hard to hate when you're that dominant. It's like hating Saban at Alabama or Tiger Woods or Tom Brady. It's like they're just kicking everyone's ass. And yeah, I mean, I think that he is. I mean, he can turn down interviews. Here's the thing: Ryan Daye makes $10-11 million, and if that number keeps going up with other coaches, like if someone gives Lane Kiffin, or if Oklahoma were to fire Venables and hire like Josh Heupel, bring him home 12, 13, his number he'll get matched. Him and Kirby will, whatever the highest number is, they will be paid the highest number. And he's the boss of the best program in the country. So it's like, it'd have to be like when LaFleur took over the Packers, right? It'd have to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even like the New York Giants, who I think would be very interested in him if they fired Dayball, you'd be like, well, that place just fires everybody. I mean, do I feel comfortable leaving Ohio State to go there? Now, when you make that move, like if you want to scratch that itch, once you've got to, and I'd say the same thing about Kirby Smart, once you've accomplished what you've accomplished, if you ever want to come back, if it gets weird, you're the number one candidate on the market by a mile. So I think he'd have that going for him big time. I do think that his name is going to be in the mix. I mean, if Steve Sarkisian, now I know he disputed the report, but like people have been interested in him. Their season is not going well, right? They should have lost to Kentucky if Kentucky scores at like the 2-yard line. They were down 17 points in Starkville to Mississippi State. Their schedule, they still have to play Georgia. They play Vanderbilt. It's either this week or next. They're probably going to lose that game. They still play Georgia. They play Texas A&M. I mean, they got some L's on that schedule. Sark might go 7-5 this year. You can't be spending $30 million for a roster, giving Arch Manning $8 million, giving the highest paid or one of them coaching staff right there with like Oregon, Ohio State, and probably LSU, and probably Georgia, and go 7-5. It just won't be tolerated. So whenever I hear these coaches are like, we need more time, the money bought the time, buddy. Like the reason like Sark is making $10 million for 7 straight years, it's like, yeah, there is no time. And if we fire you, we got to pay you to go away. But there's like, we got to be patient. If I hear one former coach say that one more time, I'm going to puke. Yeah, I would have been patient back when we just brown bagged a couple kids, 20K. Now we have a $28 million roster. Well, we got to pay the roster that again next year and the following year and the following year. So yeah, our patience is thinned. So 7-5 is no longer tolerated ever around here with the premiums we're paying. That's how the private sector works. When you start investing a ton of money, if things do not work, heads roll, right? When there's pressure to succeed. This isn't one of those like tech companies where it's like, well, hey, we'll give you 5 years. You don't even need to turn a profit. That's not the case in college football. Question for the pod. Big Cardinal fan. I think we're done with Kyler Murray and ready to move on. What do you think of this, and what do you think we should do at the quarterback position? Draft one in 26, roll with Jacoby. Draft one in 27. Well, the elephant in the room with the Cardinals isn't Kyler Murray as much as like, are they going to fire these guys running the show? Like, does Uh, the GM, I always screw up his name from New England, and Jonathan Gannon, like, are those guys going to get fired at the end of the year? Is Jonathan Gannon, does he get fired and the GM get to hire a new coach? I think that complicates things dramatically. So before I can answer about Kyler Murray, like, who's running the show? Because if it's brand new people, he's gone for sure. If it's those guys, then they're like on a 1 year situation to try to survive. Who knows? I mean, he could, maybe he does stay. I think this all gets back to, though, this is a franchise that always loses. And I wish they were better. I mean, obviously, I live here, but are the Cardinals even the most popular team in North Scottsdale where I live? I don't think so. Most of my neighbors are like Midwest fans because that's where they're from: Chicago, Minnesota, Kansas City, Seattle, uh, Canada. I mean, the Cardinals honestly feel like an afterthought in the world that I've lived in since being in Arizona now for 4 years. Um, and I think it all gets back to the owner's a clown. I mean, a loser, right? And it's his family. They just suck. And the franchise is going to continue to blow as long as he owns the team. If he ever sold the team, who knows? Maybe it could be resurrected. Doesn't look like this. Bald Bengals fan. Just wanted to take a minute to sincerely thank you for being so open about losing your dad. Just lost my father this spring. I quit my job to spend 2 months with him, and he only lasted a few more. Your words inspired me to take advantage of every second that I could. I burnt through some savings in the process, but I wouldn't trade time with him for anything. You know what you realize when these people go off to heaven and they die is your savings account doesn't follow you. And at any moment, it all could end for any of us. So there's a small percentage of people, especially the older you get, that you go, yeah, this is someone that means a lot to me. This is someone that's been in my corner, especially a parent from day one. Parent, brother, as you get older, your wife, your children. But, and obviously your friend's circle typically, I would, for most well adjusted people, probably shrinks a little bit as you get older. Maybe I'm just projecting, but I think it's really important to really value the time you have with people, especially as you know you're coming down the home stretch. And as Scott Van Pelt once said, and it's something I'll never forget, is you don't truly become, and I think he heard this from someone else, is you don't truly become a man until your father dies. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And everything that you do positively after that moment is a testament to that guy. Chargers fan. The team occasionally gets mocked for having a smaller fan base. As far as interactions go with your channel, do you see fewer questions from Charger fans? It's hard for me to answer that question. I mean, I get questions from all over the map. I think that's a. I don't think I could accurately tell you based on questions and DMs or comments where you guys rank inside a fan base. Part of it is like San Diego historically, it's just less people live there than some of these major markets. So you're going to have less fans than Chicago. You haven't been good at the highest level and won championships like over the years, like the Steelers or the Packers. Um, Anytime you're a transient franchise, Rams, I mean, the Raiders are the best example. Like people fall off. It's like, why are the Lakers such a big brand? It's like, well, they've been winning championships in LA for, I don't know, 60 years, right? Like, why are the 49ers a big deal? Well, once Joe Montana completed that pass, they never moved. And since 1981 until 2025, like, they've been a stalwart in an area. The New York Yankees, I don't know, they're the New York Yankees. So part of the charge is like San Diego, now you're in LA. It's like Vegas, Oakland, LA. It's like you can't, once you start moving, you're just going to lose people. If someone ever threatened to be like, yeah, we're going to move the Philadelphia Eagles to a different city, there'd be a mutiny. Like legitimately, people would die. I'm not. I'm saying that with a straight face. But I would say the same thing about Chicago. I'd say the same thing about any of these major teams. You're not taking my team. It wouldn't be tolerated. The only teams that ever get talked about moving would be like the Sacramento Kings are going to get moved to Seattle. Can you imagine saying that out loud about like the Knicks or the Lakers or the Boston Celtics? So part of like being a transient team is there's a little unseriousness to you. I mean, there just is. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook now has new promos every single day. We talk a lot of football on 3 and Out, but there's always something to bet. We got the World Series, baby. Week 8 kicks off later this week as well. But if you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get not only your winnings, but $150 in extra bonus bets. If you're already betting on the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app, you know what that means. Wednesdays are the last day to use your legendary rewards drops. Open up the app today. You could have a bonus bet, or who knows what's in there. More drops every Thursday. The rewards and promos are nonstop, baby. Question about your bald expertise. Do you use a handheld electric shaver, or do you use a traditional razor to keep the head tidy? Second, my fiance and I are planning to relocate from Colorado to Scottsdale in the next few months. From someone who has lived there for a while, what recommendations would you have for specific locations in the city, i.e. North, South, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, etc.? I shave with a Mach 3 or 5. I think it's technically the Mach 5 now, and I just do it in the shower. You know, obviously, if I'm ever doing something socially, like a nice dinner or party, something where it's like you would just naturally shave for, that's when I shave my head. So I probably do that, 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending. But I do it in the shower, and I do it I don't need a mirror to do it at this point in time. Scottsdale, I think it just depends what you want. Like, I don't know how old you are. If you're younger and you want to be toward the hustle and bustle of Scottsdale, obviously like South Scottsdale toward Tempe, where Arizona State is, got a little more vibrant life. Paradise Valley is extremely expensive. It has massive lots. I mean, you get homes selling for 10, 15, 20 million dollars down there. It's just not a cheap place to buy a home. But who knows? Maybe you're rich. I would say North Scottsdale, where I live, is kind of slower paced. It's truly the suburbs. I mean, Paradise Valley technically is too, but it's pretty slow. I mean, a lot of golf courses, some nice restaurants. It's got some mountains. It's beautiful, but it's not much happening. Right, a lot of boozers up here, but they frequent a couple places. Yeah, I mean, I'm a North Scottsdale guy. I have been before I ever moved here. I knew before I was moving here, this is where I wanted to live, in this general vicinity. And where I'm at right now, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but when I do move, it'll just be up the road to places closer to the mountains. But North Scottsdale is one of my favorite places on earth. And I just manifested that shit, and I said, I'm coming. And actually, I didn't manifest. I literally just hopped in a car and left. And best thing I ever did. And her, obviously, was a huge part of that. Let's be real. She got me here. You're starting a franchise, and you get to choose any current coach to sign for the foreseeable future. Where would Mike Macdonald fall in your rankings? I'm not sure there's a better defensive mind. This is a good question. I think he's a stud. And if you took him above a bunch of the offensive guys, I would understand, and I don't think I would lose much sleep. I would be inclined to take the offensive guys. The guys I know can coach the quarterback, right? Like, I think that matters. You saw last year, they had to fire the offensive coordinator. Geno threw like 20 touchdowns, and they were all out of whack. And they were a pretty good team. But, like, Mike is clearly good with the team, and he's awesome with defense. But, like, when the quarterback gets out of whack, he can't really do anything. Well, Kyle Shanahan can win games with Mac Jones. Andy Reid can win games with Jeff Garcia. Michael Vick out of prison. Sean McVay has won games with Jared Goff and Matt Stafford, so he's living a pretty good life. But obviously he's good with the quarterback. Kevin O'Connell, I mean, it's getting a little rough, but we've seen him with Darnold. We've seen him with Kirk Cousins, win games. LaFleur, what he's doing with Jordan Love speaks for itself. That's a powerful thing, man. Because the most important guy, obviously your GM, your head coach, and your quarterback. But, like, when I get a awesome head coach who is the offense is his baby, like, look at Sean Payton. Like, Bo Nix is kind of all over the map. It's like he's going to win 14 games this year. You'd be like, well, his defense is awesome. True, but I think a lot of average defensive coaches, that offense would be screwed. So I think it's really, really important to be able to coach the quarterback. But he would be the lone guy that if you're like, hey, I'd rather have Mike Macdonald than Kevin O'Connell. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. I'd rather have Mike Macdonald than some of these guys. Like, I get it. He's a stud. And who knows? Maybe in a couple years, like, who's to say they couldn't rattle off playoff victories this year? Speaking of the Seahawks, what are your thoughts on the Seahawks? In the past few years, I felt like Geno kept them to be a pretty average team. With Sam, they look way better. But I still feel like they aren't in the top level of teams. So, what is the outlook in Seattle? See, I think I disagree. I mean, I think they're built. I think they can win the division. They lost the Niners at home, but they easily could have won that game. The Niners, I mean, got a little lucky to win it. But obviously, the Niners were healthier then. They did lose Kittle in that game, but so they get the Commanders coming up. I like the Seahawks. They get the Cardinals. I like the Seahawks. So I mean, you could be a couple games away from being 7-2. Then you go to the Rams. That is a massive game. Then you get the Titans. That's a win. Vikings. That's probably a win. Then you get the Colts and the Rams and the Niners again at the end of the season. So you got. I don't think we're going to know that much about you with the schedule. I think those Rams games are pretty big, and it's probably going to determine the division. I mean, the 49ers are playing with me and you right now. So it's when you factor in the Niners injuries, and it's like, is Mac Jones going to start 12 games for him? It kind of feels that way. You go, I don't see why Seattle can't win the West. And I definitely think like Seattle can win a playoff game this year. You know, for a couple years at the end with Pete, when they were making the playoffs and being one and done, like this team feels better than that. Now, it's football. Like you could, especially if you're the 5 seed, you could lose to, whoever you're playing. So it'd probably be the Bucks. In that scenario, it'd be the Rams, the Eagles, and the Packers. So I mean, you're going to get a tough first game no matter what. But if you have to play the Bucks in the first round, like that's a game you can win. When you're on with Colin, two topics seem to come up a lot: the first round quarterback bust to reclamation project stories like Baker, Darnold, and the Joneses, and how inconsistent Caleb has been through the first year and a half. Am I crazy to think those might be two sides of the same coin? You can bet some smart offensive coach would love to see the Bears move on from Caleb and turn him into the next Baker Mayfield. He's only 23. Can we pump the brakes and let him develop a bit? I get the teams want instant returns from first round quarterbacks, but Jaden and Luck's rookie years are outliers. Here's the problem with that argument: Baker Mayfield in college dominated throwing the ball from the pocket. Dominated. I mean, was an unstoppable force. A lot of Caleb's special plays have been running around, and it's his physical gifts. The way he plays is not the way, like Sam Darnold right now, is slinging the ball from the pocket. Caleb has never played that way. So, how often do guys that never played as pocket quarterbacks become pocket quarterbacks? Russell Wilson never could. And when he was a Pro Bowler, he was making all these crazy plays outside the pocket. The couple years Deshaun Watson was good, same thing. So if Caleb is going to be good, he's going to have to play like those guys. Now, if your argument is he can become that, I'd say, yeah, Deshaun did it for like 2 years and Russell did it for like 6. But they feel like outliers in the course of the career of that type player. So I'm going to bet against it. Not saying that he's going to be like out of the league, but like that style of play historically does not work. And you're watching Caleb, he has no feel for like timing or touch. None. So it's like you can improve accuracy a little bit. Look at Josh Allen. Google like Warren Moon's career, got a little bit better as he got older. You definitely can improve working on accuracy a little bit. You can't just, become Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers, but you definitely can become a more accurate player. But when you watch him play, his style of play doesn't really translate to resurrecting a career and becoming a star. So I have a hard time seeing it. Not my style of quarterback, but I'm not going to write off like he's out of the league. And do I believe other people will try to work with him? 1,000,000%. And who knows? Maybe they could structure the offense more toward that. Typically, most of the good offensive coordinators run a pretty structured passing game. Right? Let's not even count the guys that are run first. Like, I think when obviously Kyle Shanahan's run first, I think if LaFleur's running backs are healthy, he wants to run first. But like Sean McVay, pass guy. Like, they're pocket passers. Andy Reid lets Patrick play like that a little bit, but he's kind of an outlier. Sean Payton, a lot of pocket passes. Kevin O'Connell, a lot of pocket passes. So it's just, these guys want to call like in the structure of the offense, and he's just not a structure of the offense player. This is people think I can't stand the guy. I don't even give a shit. I wish he was good. I would like to watch. I like to watch good players. I don't like to watch scrubs. I don't like to watch guys throw incompletion after incompletion. That's not fun. I'm not trying to be bitter about being paid to watch football. I try to enjoy it, but sometimes you're watching back quarterback play. You're like, this sucks. I wish we had 25 star quarterbacks instead of 7. But I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I just think there are, and I'm not just coming into this. Like, I watch football on Saturdays, and I major in West Coast football. I watched a lot, and I'm an Oklahoma guy, so I go back to Oklahoma, which I don't really judge you as an 18-year-old freshman. But now looking back to like what he started doing, like he's a freelance player, and he's a freakish talent because he's got a huge arm and he's athletic and strong. But he's just not a natural rhythm passer. And you're just going to flip that switch at 24, 25? I don't know. Are you surprised at all by the Commanders having a down year? Did people really think they were going to take the next step, as in going to the Super Bowl? They had one-hit wonder written all over them. That's a great question. I do think their GM thought they were going to be good and aggressively made moves for that. Laramie Tunzel, Deebo Samuel, last year when they traded for Lattimore. I mean, they've aggressively acquired some veteran guys. Now, making it back-to-back NFC Championship games, I think it would have been a little shocking to have them not be 9 or 10 wins. But again, their quarterback's missing games. So once your quarterback starts missing games, it's hard to win games with your backup quarterback. And depending on how the schedule shakes out, it's like, okay, we got to play our backup quarterback. We got to go to Arrowhead on Monday night. That's an L. We got to play Seattle Sunday night. That's an L. So it's like when you don't have your starting quarterback, and we'll see if Jaden plays this week, you're not going to win many games, And then on top of that, like McLaurin's missed games. Tunzel just left the game. Their defense looks old and slow. Football things can change fast. And a guy can go from being a solid player to just old real quick. And I think that's what happens when you look at, Bobby Wagner. You just watch him play. He's like, God, this guy looks old. I'm not trying to be a hater at all. I have nothing but respect for the guy, but it just happens to players in the blink of an eye. Sometimes it's injuries, and sometimes it's like look a little slower to like, damn, he can't move. Okay, real talk. Ever have one of those need it right now moments? Like the dog just chewed through the leash, kid's project needs glitter glue tonight, and somehow the toilet paper is gone again? Yeah, that moment has happened to everyone. That's where Walmart Express Delivery comes in clutch. Get all that stuff, pet stuff, school stuff, household stuff, all the stuff in as fast as 1 hour. 1 hour. That means chargers, diapers, candles, light bulbs, laundry detergent, real life rescue items. And it's all from Walmart. Just hop on the app, order what's needed, and boom. It's at the door before a toddler melts down or before halftime is even over. Yes, game day food can be delivered in an hour too. Try Express now and get free delivery on a first order with promo code EXPRESS. That's free delivery on a first order with promo code EXPRESS. Walmart Express Delivery in as fast as 1 hour. Unheard of. Until now, that is. Promotion valid for first express delivery order, $50 minimum, subject to availability. Restrictions apply. Question for the bag. 2 weeks ago, there was quite the uproar from Caleb fans over Troy Aikman about his game on Monday Night Football. Everything Aikman said is still being highlighted by analysis, by an analyst. Do you think the uproar was due to Aikman hitting a nerve? I think anytime you win, right, And it feels like, which is weird. Like, I understand why LeBron has a lot of fans. It's like, yeah, he's a 25-time All-Star and won multiple 4 championships and been to 9 finals. Like, I'm not the biggest fan, but I understand if someone loves basketball and wants to defend him. Like, okay, I get it. How could you be like, I'm a Caleb stan because Todd McShay and Mel Kiper had him number one on the draft board because he won the Heisman? Like, what's like? I get if you're like, hey, I'm defending Lamar Jackson. Okay, totally understand it. Like, all these people on the internet is maybe it's just a Bears fan and you're just defending your quarterback. Troy Aikman has won some of the biggest games in the history of the league. Troy Aikman won multiple Super Bowls. He was the number one overall pick. Has played against or broadcasted the games of every quarterback that has mattered in the last 45 years. Think about that. Elway, Montana, Marino, Jim Kelly, Favre, Young, to all the, I mean, he's literally called the Manning, Brady, Rodgers era. Roethlisberger, Breeze. Like, he's called all these guys games. He knows exactly what it looks like. And he's not me, just like, hey, this guy kind of worked in the league, understands football, and big personality. No, this motherfucker laced him up, threw dimes to Michael Irvin against some of the best teams I've ever seen, the San Francisco 49ers, and beat them on the road at Candlestick to go to the Super Bowl, and then won Super Bowl, and then won the Super Bowl. So it's like, he's so mean. Does anyone that talks about football on television have more equity to talk about quarterback play? Anybody. Tony Romo, Chris Collinsworth, Kirk Herbstreit, you name it. Then that fucking guy? And the answer is no. He has more equity and more knowledge and more understanding of anything that comes out of his mouth when it comes to quarterback than anyone that talks about the position by a wide margin based on his resume and based on just listening to the guy talk. Like, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to quarterbacks. So if it's that he was offended that, hey, X, Y, and Z, at 10 o'clock, you're meeting with the coordinators. This time you're meeting with the players. He's been doing this now for multiple decades, calling games, right? So when someone doesn't show, especially the quarterback, he probably goes, well, Manning always shows. Brady always showed. Mahomes always showed. Like, he's used to, like, all the guys always show. And this guy not only doesn't show, he's like, text me the next day. It's like, who do you think you are? Now, listen, I'll be the first to say, the players and him getting ready for a game, like, I'm not trying to act like you should just throw away your prep to go meet him, but that's part of the job. And that clearly pissed Troy off a lot. And then Troy saw what I see. It's like, something's a little off here. And then because Jaden Daniels fumbles a snap and they win the game, everyone starts, blowing the Bears. It's like, well, I think we have to acknowledge they kind of got a little lucky to win this game. Not that, you could argue whoever won that game, who cares? I'd argue both teams aren't that good. But I think this notion that Aikman is just some unknowledgeable hater is kind of laughable. Because one, as a player, resume speaks for itself. As a broadcaster, kind of been doing it a while, has a pretty good idea of what it looks like, right? And I'm not even just talking about calling the games. I'm talking about the interactions, if it's Monday night, Saturday, and Sunday at the facility, the production meetings. You just no-showed them? What I'd be interested, like, how often do guys no-show? I bet the answer at quarterback is slim to none. I think a lot of people around the league thinks Caleb's into Caleb. And listen, LeBron's into LeBron. You produce, no one gives a shit. Lane Kiffin's into Lane Kiffin. You win, no one cares. You start losing, stuff comes up, man. That's part of the gig. I think we could win the division as a Bronco fan, but I'm still worried about the Chiefs. Now Surtain is out for at least a few weeks. That's changed our whole defense. Do you think we can overcome and keep the momentum? What adjustments will Vance Joseph, what's his name, the white corner, wanted to say Riley Green, but that's a country music star, number 21, who leads the league in pass interference. The other day, it felt like he was getting PIs on every single play. So losing your star DB is a blow. I love the Broncos this week against Houston. Riley Moss. Love him. I think, last week, the 49ers, their entire defensive line Bosa's on injured reserve. Huff, who just dominated the Falcons, pulled his hamstring on the last play of the game. He did not play. They're playing multiple rookies who just are probably running on fumes. The rest of their defensive line was just atrocious, and CJ ate them alive. Well, the Broncos' defensive line and just pass rush in general is elite. So I think this is an awful matchup for the Houston Texans, who have a bad offensive line. How do you block an elite pass rush? You don't. Not with bad offensive linemen. So I do think in short term you're going to be okay. Uh, Obviously, if you're a Bronco fan, I mean you're rooting heavily for the Bills to win this week. Let me look at Denver's upcoming schedule. So we got the Texans this week in Houston. Then you get the Raiders. You haven't played the Chiefs yet. Then you get the Chiefs, Commanders, Raiders. I mean, you got a lot of patsies in here with the Chiefs games. So your tough remaining games are two Chiefs games, the Packers, and then depending what's on the line for that last game against the Chargers, which is in Denver. But you obviously get the Chiefs one of the games at home, and you get the Packers at home. So if you win this Texan game and what would your record be? 7-2. You're in pretty good shape. Because then you get the Raiders at home on a short week, Thursday night, which who knows? I mean, you could be a 10-point favorite in that game. And then you get long rest into the Chiefs game, which is at home as well. So this Texan game is pretty big because it can propel you to the Raider game. So if you win the next two games, you're 8-2, go into that Chiefs game. Now the Chiefs, they play this week and then they got to bye the next week. So they're coming off a bye and you're coming off the mini bye. So it's not a huge advantage, I guess. Let me double check that on the Chiefs because the Chiefs, they play the Bills 11-2 in their next game is the Broncos. So they get a bye as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. I have more questions. Let's try to fly through these. Why have the 1 p.m. Eastern games this season been so lackluster? Is it just a lot of bad teams in the league or because of Monday night doubleheader? I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes when you get the Monday night doubleheader and you start getting the buys, you just have less options. So if you do have 5 games going at once and you get 3 blowouts, it's like you're pretty beholden to a couple other games. And if the other games that are good are like the Jets, the Bengals, kind of sucks. So I think there's a little randomness to it. There are obviously a lot of bad teams. Ton of injuries, I think, is a huge factor. A lot of injuries. But there have been some bad football. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative Nelly here, but we've all watched some bad football over the last couple weeks. Question about the Giants. All signs are pointing to Joe Shane and Dayball getting fired. Should they hire a head coach that is experienced and get a respectable level guy or a young guy that's a boom and bust potential? I'm telling you, I'm going to start putting this together now. If the Steelers season goes south, which it could potentially start to go south hard. Doesn't Mike Tomlin make a lot of sense? Bring Mike Tomlin. He could bring Arthur Smith. I just think Mike Tomlin, the New York Giants, like if you're going to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers, why not try to go resurrect the Giants? Start fresh. Bring your own GM. I don't know. And just, I'm kind of rooting for that to happen. I'm a Vikings fan, but my boss, a Packer fan. Someone from North Hollywood's calling me. We got dictates my progression. We got into a debate about what's worse. Seeing a team fumble multiple bags, Vikings, or having only one championship with Rodgers, who is arguably a top 3 quarterback of all time. I think it's the latter. I think the Packers are spoiled, so rotten. I also think that Jordan Love is a B quarterback. In short, I hope the Packers enter a dark plague-filled winless streak. That's not going to happen. I think it's disappointing if you're a Packer fan to only have 2 Super Bowls with Rodgers and Favre over a 30-year period. But you basically won. I mean, over those 30 years, it felt like they made the playoffs, 25 of them. They won a bunch of playoff games over that period of time. They win the division all the time. Uh, I would say someone keeps calling me. I'm going to send them to voicemail. I think what the Vikings situation is, if Sam Darnold becomes a consistent Pro Bowl player, that's going to be one thing that's going to be hard to stomach. I think that's got. If Sam Darnold leads Seattle to like several playoff victories over the next couple of years, wins the division, and your team is just quarterbackless, and this JJ McCarthy thing blows up in their face, the Packers is not even debatable, that argument. You and Colin were talking about Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and you mentioned how you'd be curious to see how Johnson ranked the 24 quarterbacks. Since I'm a Bronco fan, it got me wondering, do you think Ben Johnson would trade Caleb for Bo Nix? Maybe I'm biased, but I feel like he would make a trade in a heartbeat. P.S. Keep up the good work. Uh, it's a great question. I I don't know how he would have ranked the guys because Bo Nix I wouldn't say is the most accurate guy. And Bo Nix style, like he's actually much more athletic than he is like what he had in Jared Goff. Now, just because he had a bunch of success with Jared Goff doesn't mean that's like his ideal type player. Maybe he would really like a more mobile type guy. Uh, Listen, if I wanted to defend Caleb Williams, it's not like Bo Nix. I know his numbers would look pretty good, but you watch him play, he struggles a lot too. I mean, he's very hit or miss now, and he's on a way better team with he's at Sean Payton now for 2 years. So I don't think there's a lock that Ben Johnson would have liked either one. In terms of like if he had the number one overall pick, my guess is he would take Drake May. Would be my guess, or Jaden Daniels over those guys. But who knows? I bet if you asked him, he might not really have watched those guys because he's the offensive coordinator during draft time. You're not wasting time ranking the quarterbacks when you're evaluating other positions that your team needs. He probably spent a lot of time on O linemen, on skill guys, on self scouting, on other stuff than he did ranking quarterbacks they clearly were never going to draft. So he might, if you asked him, he'd be like, honestly, I didn't really evaluate either coming out. That's what his honest comment might be. Like, how would you rank these guys coming out of college? He'd probably go, I'd have to go rewatch them because I didn't really focus on them. I think you'd be shocked. Like good teams, their coordinators, most of them don't spend that much time like banging out the film on those players. It's kind of a waste of your time.